Tá me ouvindo? Estão me ouvindo? Então, então daqui a pouco começa. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel Expecto, and I believe you don't know me, but my name is Admo, and today I will share with you about the ways women use to manipulate men. Today I want to talk about men. I want to talk about women. I want to talk about married men, single men, maybe guys who are in long-term relationship. There is a marriage counselor from Gary Newman that there is one guy in three men will cheat and most of their wives will never know about it, and he gets into some of the states as to why they are doing it, right? With is number one. The with is number one. The Russellman cheat, and 92% of men said it wasn't primarily about sex, with most people generally think it is. Most said it was a final disconnect, specifically a feeling of feeling underappreciated, belittled, lack of truthful gestures. Men are very emotional beings. They just don't look like that, or don't look like that, or they don't tell you that. So, depending on the couples, they decide to go to a marriage counselor, and there are two reasons to go to a marriage counselor, and both are for when women say, "Hey, I want to go to marriage counselor." It's almost a 90% since it's because she has already decided that she is going to leave the relationship. You know she is going to divorce the guy, but she needs to make it look like she put some kind of effort into when the divorce process happens, so it will look like she did her best to make it the relationship is right. So there is that aspect, and there is also the aspect where you know if you are going to break up. I think when guys say, hey, let's see a marriage counselor, I think it's monthly men trying to make out or try to recapture something that they felt it was gone. Un moment. Gentlemen, let's increase the number of likes on the channel and share with your friends, as YouTube is reducing the reach of my live. Now, I really think this happens when a woman is the one who is cheating, doing the cheating. If there are any statistics on who initiates or suggesting going to a marriage counselor, I will share with you a news report on marriage counsel. Un moment. Choosing therapy, marriage counseling statistics. Relationships are hard work, and couples will inevitably face challenges at some point. If you hear, if you are considering couples therapy with your partners, here are some important things to know. General couples therapy stats. Couples go to therapy for a variety of reasons, from communi- communication issues to healing after infidelity. Here are some general statistics concerning couples counseling. In a study involving 100 couples, 49% said they had attended some form of counseling with their spouse. The highest percentage of couples, 57% in therapy, had been married 3 to 5 years. From the same study, 52% of those who had not tried some form of marital counseling were open to trying it. According to Dr. John Gottman, a relationship and marriage expert, couples wait up to 6 years after problems start to see a counselor. 55% of couples are in the therapy for 6 months or followers. Types Types of couples therapy. Most therapists and counselors use a specific type of therapy for couples. What to expect What to expect may change based on the modality used by the therapist. Emotion focused therapy (EFT) is the most common form of therapy for couples. It's been tested on couples in right test situations, like those in the military, parents of chronic children, and veterans with PTSD. Another Another popular approach is the Goodman method, created by husband and wife psychologist John and Julie Goodman. Their method focused on the four horsemen of marriage-ending behavior and how to move past those issues. Age of couples in therapy. Couples of all age can benefit from therapy. Two stats show the older a couple is, the less likely they are going to info therapy, mostly citing that they know if other will and can figure most things out. In therapy, therapy divorce. Couples therapy usually end in divorce when one partner or both have already decided, decided to separate and are either using counseling to break the news or doing it subconsciously if both if both partners are unsure. That's what this meant counseling is for. Here are some important points on a divorce could be the better option. Couples should not expect therapy to work in an abusive relationship. In abusive situation, it's often recommended for each partner to attend separate therapy sessions to address violent or unsafe behavior. Similarly, AFT is not recommended for couples in the process of separate, as AFT is used to strengthen bond, bonds and build relationship with is something contributing to divorce. According to some psychologists, name-calling, lack of trust, and an unwillingness to address the issues of change are some of the biggest indicators that therapy will fail. Other concerns include feeling of hopelessness, continuing an affair, and not being emotionally vulnerable. On marriage counseling, especially if you are a marriage counselor from the 70s years to the 2000 years, are you today? I would mostly say it is a woman field, or is it a completely gynocentric field? Is that to make a woman feel better like her? Most marriage counselors mean it's about trust. You need to rebuild trust, particularly after cheating. You need to rebuild trust. It's not about trust, it's about desire, it's about you having on of the reason is that on is these partners cheated on each other and they broke that monogamous contract with is really what is what it is. You can call it a pact if you want to be religious about it. You can call it an agreement or contractual agreement if you want to be legalistic about it, but it's an agreement that I am only going to have sex with you and you are only going to have sex with me, and that's how this is all going to work at the stipulation of this marriage. We talked about marriage with the contractual ideas behind it later, but one of the two broke that agreement, and so what happens is that only because there is a lack of desire that there is. This I think is saying that it's about appreciation. Yes, I am not going to say that doesn't play an element of it, but I think when a guy who is in a field of woman-centered marriage counseling and how to save the marriage, I mean, what a marriage really you know? For a woman, what is a marriage is having children, and is it kind of this social contract, or is this place is I shall say the atmosphere, the environment within we the environment within which we can form a family very well. If there is no desire there are, that is where sex comes in. Sex is the glue that holds our relationship together. So it's the desire that really drives that sexually that you want to have with that other person, because when the time comes the betrayal is about sex, okay? It's about having sex with someone who is not your partners, just like that, and then when you hear a guy like that particularly, I'm already skeptical, okay? Absolutely the right practice of the feminine imperative, let's just say, for lack of better terms of just for the sake sake of argument here on of the reasons I think men felt unappreciated. The reason she brings this up is because the reason she bring, brings this up is because it's safe. Say men feel unappreciated, and then they say, okay, men need to toughen up, men need to recharge. They need to become men. Their wife is not their mother. They need to have a new appreciation for their wife, and they will bounce back. They will try to make it look like he's a crybaby because he feels underappreciated, and so he felt like he had to go. And you now, I know a lot of married guys. Now now maybe married for 10, 15, and 20 years. The concept of love between man and woman are different because woman's concept concept because woman's concept of love is opportunistic and man is idealistic. Women are incapable of loving as a man loves a woman. It is physically impossible for them to do it well. And before that, I ask, you, have you ever heard of Alpha Widow? Who does type on? What doesn't type to? The alpha widow is the woman who had the guy she thought was her soulmate when he was young and she was in her crazy party years, and she fell madly in love with them. A perfect example of this is an illustration of woman's love versus man's love. Woman's love is opportunist, and that why there is this yearning for the alpha. Her alpha passed, so she marries the beta, but she yearns for the guy she has real, genuine desire for. I'm kind I'm kind of prefacing this here because I think it's important to understand the difference in the concept of love between man and woman, because woman's love is really informed by hypergamy, which is the sexual strategy, but it's also informed by the biology, biology. Okay, like woman want to things from a man that like woman wants to things from a man they want alpha and beta. They want to have that hot dual biological choose you now genetically superior man, and she needs that as well the superior guy who will provide for her and be there for safety and be an investment emotion and be a good opportunist parental investment for her too, and rarely for choose to find themselves in the same guy while men believe in love outside of themselves. They believe a woman should be able to love him exactly the way her idealistic thinks. Gentlemen, let's increase the number of likes because YouTube is reducing the the reach of my life. I think really since the sexual revolution that was informed by this kind of Disney fantasy as the soul made might, that since it's used to buy that women were only really seriously invested in the soulmate might, well now since the late 60s, beginning of the 70s until where we are now, men are also invested in the might of the soulmate. Moment. Men and women have different concepts about love. When I say that, I mean women have an important concept of love. Women will scream when I say I was like you have to understand I now it has a negative connotation, but this unopportunist is that this woman loves this man for what he is not, who he is, and so and again. I don't want to woman who hear this thinking like, oh, well, he thinks they hear our opportunist or woman can't be helped by loving men. No, they can't. It's just that they have to find that balance between this opportunist and his and this idealism, and then they need to come back to earth and understand how women love and women themselves themselves need to understand how men love with is idealistically, and there needs to be some sort of fusion between these two concepts, and that's how you look like you are probably your grandfather, probably your grandparents, or you parents are still married, right? Because they found a way to merge choose two concepts, so I'm going to let myself be as vocal about it as possible. I have never said, and I will never say, that women can't love a guy. They obviously do, but the concepts are different. When I say this, a woman fundamentally doesn't have the ability to love a man like he believes a woman should be able to. And at the face of it, guys need to understand that I'm not saying women can't love men. Our definition of love is different from a guy's definition of love versus a woman's definition of love. They are not they are not the same. They never happened, and changing the subject and gently and changing the subject and getting info. Another important point is the number on complaint chatting husbands have about their sex lives at home is guessing what they believe or not. Must say the frequency of sex is. In fact, if you sexist life. They, they basically related intimately to once a month if you are having it, right? Once a month or so, you are technically in a sexless marriage, which is why I think one of the reasons why particularly religious guys get addicted to porn or habitually addicted. I think porn is the way for them to be safe. Is romances is the same thing you now. Men are visually but with women this is where romances come in. Why do you think you now 50 Shades of Grey and all these Harlequin romances are so hot? That's what's going on. We don't see any religious men divorcing their wives because they have all gotten used to 50 shades of grey, right? Or they want to go see Aquaman cause it's go Jason Momoa hot in it. Now even then we don't say, oh, she's having an emotional affair with us. We just don't do it cause we don't want to step in. We don't want to be over conventions. You know, we don't want to step step in 50 shades of grey. When that come out in when that come out, I remember I was a little younger, who was buying the book where Christian woman. Yes, you now woman when the Twilight Twilight series came out very popular with Christian woman because it has this alpha-like plot. It's like that very, and the best thing is like a horribly Superman best, and I'm the only woman who can fully tame it at it, and usually this is the woman character is written as generic. And how do you know what bird as possible so the woman reading this can visually themselves as the main character so they can be the ones to insert themselves into the stories once the woman gets the guy, whether it's in a relationship, long term, or a marriage. Okay, gentlemen, let's increase the number for likes because YouTube is reducing the reach of my life. All the things they did, all the things they did to get that guy, all the things that attracted him to her, they are not doing anymore. So they don't have to be sex anymore because they got what they wanted. And you now it's an example of how women can be manipulative. And that another thing I'm going to get info when this woman ends up with the guy who's not the alpha she expected to spend the rest of her life with. That's when she's the guy she loves but she's not in love, right? He's great he's great as a provider, he's great with the kids. He does his homework, he know how to how do how to do the dishes, he knows who to put his jumpers, but he's not exciting. He little Mickey is not a fun as pusher jack. So there is this kind of hypergamous doubtful woman. They have to balance it that they have to say, well, I can live like this. I and I think doing especially as woman's epiphany phrase and then this conflict between the idea of a woman and her hair and you now idea really wants the hot and sexy guys. She wants Jason Momoa. She wants the guy she craves like an alpha widow. She really wants it, but her ego knows that she needs to plan a wedding. She needs to have kids, and she now these guys aren't going to come. He knows these guys aren't going to be around, but this other guy he's kinda cool to you now, and I think well you know it's not my first choice as a lover, but my first choice as a husband is like again, and they have to balance it that I think a lot of guys who got married would be impressed if somehow we can interview their wives privately and ask this question: you are in love with him? I'm say I love him, but I'm not in love with him. I did it once. I think he had woman Kelly. She says he's the man you married now. You are living with now. He's your prince charming and like I think 90% yeah it was like they were confessing in a confession or something. You know, they talk about how their past was crazy and I was so different when I was in high school or when I was in college, but you now I have a kid. I am a respectful and empowered man. They wanna tell this story. They wanna say, hey, wait, you now I really am. I am still that fun girl of mine who was 22 with all these guys. And then what happens is that these guys get into this marriage with this woman, and the woman basically at a point kind of walked out of the marriage because she's never going to go back to that, and she got the guys that was not enough. Let me play something else for you. And I, and if what I'm saying to you is making sense and you are enjoying it, leave us comments, subscribe to my channel, like the video and share it with your friends because it helps my channel grow and makes a lot more a lot more people see my channel. You have to keep that in mind right away, and it's all the guy guys as guy's fault. The guy is some kind of, I think, flawed man. He might be going through a second adolescent, a second young man, you now midlife crisis that another, or it was either that a new had converted Corvette or had Camaro or get a new girlfriend. He might have narcissist qualities. He's insecure if you are with a guy who is insecure, and he may not have been made for monogamy. He must be insecure. He must have a fragile ego. There is absolutely nothing, and so we might actually talk about solipsism at some point, but this is really evidence of female solipsism. Well, why is he cheating? He's cheating because of our two reasons, and none of them have anything to do with me or my behavior. It's all about him. I think one of the most interesting of all is us. He must buy. I think one of the most interesting of all is us. He must buy be insecure. And now I want to talk to about. And now I walk, walk and now I want to talk to you about the Pareto principle. Have you heard? Enter on for yes and two for no. The Pareto principle for this contest is 8% of guys are going to be better and 20 guys are going to be the ones that women want to hit. Either 85 of women hate men as unattractive, okay? When I talk about cheating when it comes to men, there are two ways to cheat. There is an opportunity and a reason, okay? Most men either percent someone don't have a chance. They just can't cheat. They can cheat at less in the form of talk, taking another woman to bed and having sex with that woman who is not their wife, that they don't have an opportunity. Then there are the guys that their wives aren't indulging, or they are living in a sexless marriage or they don't feel appreciated, whatever. There are many reasons there, but there is no opportunity. So guys, do it so we have to do it make peace. To do it make peace. You know, pornography counts as emotional betrayal. Emotional infidelity is one thing. Moments, 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 moments. This is someone I'm saying that for women there are so many caveats, there is so many little like escape clauses that and most men don't have the opportunity so that when porn comes to you that's why I want to reach out to women. Okay, let's start with the marriage on. Okay, why married women they are in a boring relationship, there is no emotion, there is no passion, there is no there you now all the things that are involved in dating from the start, all that not all that is not there anymore, and it's just the emotion that she can get it. She can get it from you now. 50 Shades of Grey. She can get weird romantic romance out of the thrill. The excitement is that alpha twist she has. She's an alpha widow. When women break up with a guy, they have a much easier time breaking up because women tend to have an easier time releasing a guy they saw as inferior or below them with low sex market value. If the guy was above them in value market or unless it's been released, how they might have a harder time with it because they are seeing it as missed opportunity again, going back to that love thing, losing that opportunity if she got it, he's the one that got away. Woman don't crave battles. Woman, don't you know, dude, that guy was such a nice guy. He would have made a great husband. They don't crave choose guys. They crave the hot cause hot guys leave an emotional impact many times. You have seen a woman who get divorced. They have a big divorced part. You now you even have cards and gifts is a big kid. I don't see marriage as some kind of goal-oriented, like it's a super sport. I don't see marriage as some kind of goals-oriented, like it's a sport or something you now like, or I just failed to score a goal. Goal. Men put up with it more than women with surprises. Meet the wife or girlfriend that is shooting out right now. She's pregnant. It's not their should, but they are gonna do the right thing. They are gonna stay with them. In what world does this start to make sense? I'm glad you brought this because it kind of get into the part of handling things because there is a woman we always talk about. You know the risk of women in reproduction. Men have a risk in reproduction too. They have a risk in the parents' investment as if a man is going to stay with a woman and he will miss you on other reproductive. What you say to a guy who said what I need to do make sure my wife never cheats is on me. So what would be your advice first of all to women to prevent the men try hard first? What's the advice? Gentlemen, let's scribble the number of likes because YouTube is reducing the reach of my life. First out first of all, for men, I would say you need to be aware of the head pill and understand the essential natural and physical psyche of your wife and woman in general and understand the game you have been involved in and understand how to play very well. This is the first thing. The next thing I would say is you need to become your mental origin point and decide who is your your if your it. You want to know who you want to involve in your life, who you want who who you want to bring into your frame and make sure you have your one solid frame. Make sure you have a wife or a woman who appreciates you as much as possible and not only appreciates but admires you. You looks up to you. Who doesn't believe she's been with you? A guy like you would be better off single and just live unique lifestyle what it would be like to be involved in a situation where you are not admired, and I think that's something guys think well. It's important even for married men to understand at least the fundamentals of the art or the game or how to make it a part of their personality so that is your advice to woman. How does a wife stop her husband from cheating? I think you need, as a woman, you need to have a real and genuine desire for your husband. You need it. I'm not saying you won't be able to negotiate. I'm not saying you won't be able to negotiate that with them. I am think we are doing woman a disservice when we say, oh Mary, be with an guy they want, because you know the clock is ticking and the time is up, because women don't like that. These days it's kind of a breeze on their already inflated egos. They don't want to think they are settling for a guy who is good enough, because that's like asking men to repress their own evolved interests in their own fatherhood. And another thing they say, woman, stop there, hypergamy, and go with the guy who's good enough. Maybe he is not perfect, but good enough. Women won't have a plan B. So what happens is when they get then info that think that they are established in, that's when they want to go back in time. When they start planning the alpha, they become alpha widows. They bond with this alpha. They keep going back to I want to go back to that emotional moment, and I think women need to genuinely have a desire for their husband, to genuinely admire their husband. They are man and woman, but I want to talk specifically today, if we can, about who women manipulate men. You now it's like you have to come up with the top 5 ways women manipulate guys. I mean, there are things you now, like quiet emotion, putting people on guilt trips are the big 5, but especially unmarried guys need to be mindful of the main ways women manipulate men. Sex is number one. That's what the possibility of for a sexual encounter is a possibility of sex, specifically for guys who are in that age, especially for guys who are in that 8% beta. Guys think they are going to get lucky. They are that kind of guy, especially in the blue pill mentality. They believe in luck when if it comes to woman. They think, oh, I got lucky with Susie tonight, or something they don't understand is that Susie uses her sexual nature, her sexual agency to get what she wants, gaslighting and explaining what it is to those who don't know how to do it is this ability to make other people believe they are crazy, as if they should believe in something that they shouldn't necessarily believe. Desirable girls do this all the time as they think that one of the most common things they do they do with their vic, victims is convincing that guy that he is the source of their psychological problem and that he should believe that if he changes himself that this will solve her problem and they can live happily ever after, and that never happens because her problem keep change all the time, so her keeps the challenge all the time. That's another really good manipulation. A good manipulation is a crybaby. By the way, I believe you have heard of the absorbent friends. Tampon because when a guy is single when he's a single better he ends up being what I call a fun friend. He's the guy she calls after the beta moment. Tampon because when a guy is single when he's single better he ends up being what I call a fun friend. He's the guy she calls after the alpha actually had had sex with her that weekend and sort of sucked on her and it's not behaving in a way that she would like him to, and all his manipulation and all his controls doesn't work on alpha but it works on beta guy, and so this guy is there to be the shoulder the quiet on and shit. These guys are going to be choose tampons that suck out choose theirs and suck out that emotion side because they believe in the sexual manipulation side of it. They think if they do that they are proving their quality to humiliate Susan. They think I will prove it, tell her that I am better guy than the guy she's having sex with, so I will be there for her. I will be supportive. I will show her I am the perfect boyfriend. And so what woman will say is, "Oh, so, you are such a nice guy, and any girl would be lucky to have you." And there is a possibility that she will go as for a saying to the guy, "Or you will wait for me until I am 30. If I am still single, we could get married and have a good family together." And you are just signing up for what I can I call it being a beta and waiting and fulfilling this hypergamous life goal. And woman strategy being that guy that is plan B. He's to be born better guy that woman want to shit on eventually. The model of man that's promoted out there because the guy always like it is fatly the model of man that is promoted out this because the guy always like it is flattering. We are not the same. We are never going to see think woman can do that I can, that I think guys can do that woman can do, and we are alone. We are not completely, but when you have it's the yin and yang, and they work better together. We work best together in an ideal situation. I think man and woman are naturally complementary to each other. If you take away a lot of the social stuff, if you take that kind of social engineering stuff, if you go back even before the sexual evolution, when you are looking at the old social contract, this old social contract was based on the idea that men and women weren't equal but were good together. They did better together than apart, and I am afraid now. I think a lot of social bullshit that convinces women that they don't need a man, and they don't, that they can be independent, self-employed, employed. You now strong, independent woman who don't need men. Well, if you don't need men, then don't cry when there is no man around, and then for needing men later on. And I think in a way, I think men are women's needs also. I mean, obviously there is better truth and all that, but I think we do better as a couple, do better as parents of one or more children, do better as a married unit if both the man and the woman understands that now that the man is dominant, the woman is submissive. The man has strength and weaknesses that are complement to woman's strength and weaknesses, and I don't think we really think we threw that under the bus. Now I think if we both have a gun for each other and say, you put your gun down, no, you put your gun down. You now here, and nobody wants to put down their guns, so nobody wants to say, hey, look, you, now we could be better together. It's social conditioning, it's operant condition of women info men they want to do behavioring. Modif- Modification and men they want men to behave the way certain alpha men behave. So there is a not so there is a lot of ways women manipulate men with is really operant conditioning. It's just held on by pushing the other, and that's what really out this manipulation boils down to getting this guy to do what she wants to do. And well, a guy doesn't. That's one of the reasons I say polarity is the key to a successful relationship, because when this guy does that, he's asserting himself that he's not on your board. And continuing, did you know that women's voice change when they are in the different stages of evolution? According to the study published in the journal P Plus on during the fertility period, there are changes in the family voice during the menstrual cycle, which can inform the opposite sex about when is the best time for conception. Research Julia Fisher of the German Primary Center conducted a series of experiments with 23 women who were given a urine sample daily to measure hormonal change, while their voices were recorded and analyzed for changes in timbre, frequency, degree, hoarseness, and so on. The result, the results showed that women have a louder voice 3 days before and 3 days after ovulating, and its tone is more serious only during ovulation. Interestingly, during menstruation, the family voice also changes. It tends to be higher and hoarser. The researchers attribute this increase to fluid, fluid retention, and the researchers attribute this increase to fluid irritation and its effects on the vocal cords. Why do you think phone sex was such a a big deal in the past? Why is that sexy thing is that sex sound that guys are attracted to or turned on, so it's part of the sexual experience. A part of the sexual experience is not the only thing, but that's why strippers do well. I mean, it's not just looking at a naked girl, it's the girl going there. I appreciate that person. I'm getting back to the appreciate side of things. When I'm when we are talking about shipping on of the recent strippers always make a lot of money and still do it only is because they have perfected the art of appreciate that guy, appreciate him sexually and knowing how these things like talking in a sex way and with a sex voice for that guy. The ways guys manipulate women, I think again we can talk about sex, but men manipulation woman only works if that woman wants to be in that seduction, if she wants to be a part of it. So she's kind of willing participant to be manipulated first of all and then be seduced. Woman now the main way men manipulate them is they lie you know what they want. They say I'm a lawyer or a doctor, I'm doing my residence or something soon. I will be that you now sell. Sorry, you now sell yourself in a bigger and better package. I think for these guys, I think the main form of manipulation of men is to sell women a perception of themselves that appeals to their hypergamous natures. I tell guys who are middle aged who are getting back into the sex trade. They say look at women who are around the age of how epiphanies face from 29 to 30 on and knowing that they go through. You can use this to your advantage in your game to be able to what she will be looking at looking for at that particular moment. I just mean because you just want to have sex with her, right? I just meant because you just want to have sex with her, right? If all you want to do is just have casual sex, there are always to have casual sex, and basically, well, I would say you have to look for a woman because women are looking for different things at different times. When a woman is 15 to 25, she's really only interested in the physical. She's looking for a guy who is a hot girl, who is a hot guy, you know, and they don't really have much appreciation for a guy who was more intrinsic qualities because they don't care about that, but it becomes a little more important later on because the period, prior, priorities are the priorities that are prerequisite prerequisite for their intim- intimacy change as they get older. So obviously, a woman who's just gotten out of a relationship divorce, maybe she wants to be a cougar and she wants to be with a hot guy who is like 19, 20, so she can have fun. And then what she's going to do, she's going to look for something that's a little more permanent. Permanent is now what what this woman wants a certain age and meet their game to give the perception that you are the best option for it. I think, like I said, the main way men manipulate women is to sell women something they are not, and that is one way that seduction guys have problem is they are going to sell themselves and something bigger than what they are they are, and so these guys are lying about themselves. I don't think it's any big secret that women are looking for quality over quality. I don't think it's any big secret that women are looking for quality over quantity most of the time, but they are looking for different things at different times in their ovulatory cycle and then at different times during their lives. So understand what this is all about. It's really based on a woman psyche has this feeling that she has to be very careful because we we are talking about a woman being who evolved to be very cautious about who she has sex with because of the implication of pregnancy. Pregnancy until then you have hundreds to thousand years of evolution from woman who know of evolution from woman who knew that if I have sex with this guy, the possibility is that I'm going to be stuck with this fucking so you now forever. So I have to have a very right, very sharp filter to filter the loser of winners here, and I want to be with a winner. I don't want to be with a loser, and this is part of this mental that evolved mental framework, much like men wanting that partner, the certainty, certainty and paternity, knowing that you are the father. Yes, it's as if this is an innate, innately evolved part of human nature that expect we expect as we expect from that man when we see a man being assaulted, assaulted, hurting himself. We think he deserved if it, while for woman we want protect them. So when woman cried and we heard that, we want to go and we want to protect, just like we were talking about before, when bullets and flying men put their bodies in front of other women inst- instinctively is another instinct for men to want to protect a woman crying and wanting to find out what's wrong, and you knowing how do how to help her, because that had at last back in your evolutionary power, saving the woman, saving the damsel in distress, is something men believe with lead to reproduction, that will like, oh, she will appreciate me for helping her, for how to comfort her when she was crying. So I'm going to have sex. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming here. You can imagine the gratitude I have for you being following me live and living the like. Thank you for seeing the return of the life and living the life. So that's until later.